everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. Today on Bones Collector we're continuing our series where Lori and I are playing our way through our board gaming library. So we're going to play a couple of games, 2 or 3 games each week, and make a video about it and pass it on to you, and I hope you enjoy them. Hey everybody, welcome to Bones Collector, commercial-free Bones Collector I might add, and that is a big deal. There's no icon that says that I was given anything or there's any kind of promotional monies paid to me. And if you watch a lot of big channels, you realize that their opinions are paid opinions. I mean, when I hear their opinions on some board games, it bothers me sometimes because they're getting paid to say that. So I want to mention that we get no monies. This is commercial free. I don't monetize these videos, and I just want to bring them to you because I play board games and we love playing board games, my wife and I, and we want to tell you about the good ones. We play a lot of crappy board games. I don't bother telling you about those. So if it seems like all my videos are positive, that's because that's all I want to talk about is good board games. This board game we just got done playing is called Babylonia, and the game was designed by Reiner Knizia, and it came out in 2019. It is a 2 to 4 player game, 14 and up, hour playtime. I don't think it took us that long, did it? Yeah. I mean, 2 player, you can play this thing.
Maybe with 4 players, it might take that long.
4 players, maybe an hour, but in 2 player, we play it in 30 to 45 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, really. It's just, it plays that smoothly and that wonderfully. Now, Reiner Knizia is one of the best board game designers in the history of the industry, and it shows when a game like this comes out. He's very good at area control, and auction and bidding mechanisms is one of his favorite things to use. But this one is just an area control game. And if you read the rule book, you won't know how to play this game. There's only like 4 or 5, I mean, it's big font, and I don't know what it is. I read the rule book and I couldn't understand a thing about it. So I'm going to tell you how to play this game a little bit. But the box, I always talk about the physical publishing of the game. A nice box. This should, Lori said this should be the minimum standard for board games. This is a nice thick box, and it's pretty too, and very nice looking. It has a picture inside the box itself, a picture that's on the front of the game box, and that's pretty cool. And the rule book, I like the font size. It's very big, but I don't know. When I got done reading it, it was kind of confused on how to play the game. But I'm going to tell you what this game is about. It's an area control, area influence game. And you have certain things that you're just simply going to surround here on the board. That's the game. That's what this game's about. You want to surround these cities, you want to take these farmer tiles, and you want to surround these ziggurats. And that's all you're doing. But there's ways to do that. And the ways you're going to do that is with these discs. And there's 2 types of discs. There's nobles and there's farmers. Now, there's quite a few kinds of nobles. There's that one, I don't know how many kinds there are. 3 kinds of nobles? Oh yeah, 3 kinds of nobles, and the farmers all look like this. Now when you play the nobles, you can only play 2 discs. When you play the farmers, you can play 3 plus. Boom, end of story. There are some ways to mitigate that a little bit, and I'll talk about that briefly. Once you surround one of these ziggurats, you can get one of these ziggurat tiles, and they give you a special benefit, maybe a rule breaker, or this one gives you an extra turn. This one's an instant 10 points, which is huge in this game. And this one allows you to keep 7 on your cookie rack here instead of 5, because you're only allowed 5 discs on the rack at one time. This one allows you to play 3 nobles instead of 2. And so things like that are going to occur in the game to help you change the rules a little bit when you get these benefits. So you're just trying to surround these ziggurats and these cities, and then you get a point for every city tile that's in front of you once you take those. And those accumulate. So every time you take a city tile, you score your cities. If it's the 6th one you've taken, you get 6 points. Things like that. And you also get points for how many influence you have around these. So let's say this is the icon that's on this city tile, and if this type of situation were to occur, let's see, we want to surround this guy real quick. Maybe I had one up there for whatever reason. Something like that. So this is completely surrounded, and you would score that city now. And because blue player has 2 of the requested icons that's on the city, it would be 2 points apiece. So 4 points to the blue player, and
Actually 6.
2, 4, 6. Excuse me, I forgot I put that down there. Yeah, because you can connect them. Yeah, I mean, if blue player had a bunch of farmers down through here that connected to another. Do you have any more of those? Yeah,
Star.
to another one of these. So you could go all the way down and follow that contiguous route and pick up all of these that are the icon on that city. So in this particular instance right now, since I changed it, it'd be 2, 4, 6, 8 points for the blue player and 2 points for the white player because it has 2 icons on that city. And that's simply all you're going to be doing, is scoring like that. And then you would take that particular city and put it in front of you. So you're taking turns trying to play, again, 2 nobles or 2 discs. You could play 1 noble and a farmer. You can play 2 nobles. You could play 3 farmers plus. So you could play 5 farmers if you had them on your rack. Okay? So you could play 5 farmers. Now, the thing is, as soon as somebody uses up all their discs, the game ends right now. There's no kind of bonus scoring or anything like that. The game's going to end. Wherever you are on the point track, whoever's in the lead wins the game. And that's really all there is to this game. But it's very meaty because you are, again, trying to accumulate points as quickly as possible and as many of them as possible, so that, let's say, every time you put a tile around one of these ziggurats, you get a point. Well, if you have the control of another ziggurat, you get a point for each one of those. So if you place one disc around this ziggurat, you have these 2 over here like this and this, you would get 3 points. So anyways, this is just simply an area control game that you're going to try to surround these various cities and ziggurats and get extra points, get as many points as you possibly can, and accumulating as many cities as you can. The game's very simple to play. The only bone I have to pick with the publisher about this game is that they didn't supply a separate board for 2 players and 3 players and so forth. I mean, Small World does it. They have 2 boards in there for different player counts. In Gentes Deluxeified, they have a double-sided board for different player counts. I don't like that this game in particular, you're only using half the board. In a 2-player game, you're going to use this half. In a 3-player game, you're going to use that half. And only in a 4-player game do you use the whole board. And the game is fantastic. I'm going to keep it. I don't want to make any bones about it. It's a very fine game. And I like playing it. Now, it's one of those games that's, it doesn't matter how many times you play it. It's different every time. But why do you skimp on something like that? Make 2 boards or a double-sided board, or do something that doesn't make you feel like you're playing half a game. Because you're not playing half a game. I mean, we're playing a whole game, but you're just not using this half of the board, so it just feels and looks goofy. You know, I don't know any other way to say it. And who is this publisher? Ludo Nova. Well, Ludo Nova dropped the ball on the publishing of that part of the game. Everything else is fine. I mean, the components are fine, these racks are fine, you store these discs in, everything works well, the board is fine thickness, it's attractive looking board, these tiles are thick. Again, the box is fantastic. I like everything about it except that. I don't know why you would say, well, let's do 95% of the job and not do the other 5%. It just baffles me. And they're not the only ones that do this. It's why I stayed away from Carnegie. You know, when you play Carnegie, you put like 18 blockers out on the board. I just don't like playing like that. You know, spend a little money, make a separate board for 2 and 3 players, or whatever you have to do, but it makes a better game presentation for people. And so, I mean, and I know I'm complaining about it, it's a big deal to me. But it's not enough to make me give up the game, because Babylonia is fantastic, and I just want to tell you about it because I like playing it, and I'm going to continue to like playing it because Reiner Knizia is a very good board game designer. I really love playing his games, and this is no exception. It's a very thinky game with very few rules, and that's the type of game that's difficult to design. First of all, it's very difficult. Otherwise, everybody would do it. And Reiner Knizia gets it. He's smart, and he knows how to design a board game. This is a great one. Again, the publisher dropped the ball on the board, but other than that, it's a wonderful game. I would advise anybody to get it, and I was glad to tell you about it today.
We didn't have any problem with the racks.
Yeah. Yeah,
People
I
complained
think
about that.
I watched a couple of reviews on this game, and they said that their these discs in the rack kept tipping over. It didn't happen to us. I don't know if they went through and made them thicker or what, because these work great. And some of the people, I think it was Tom Vassell and somebody else, said they were going to put feet on the bottom of them so that they wouldn't fall out. But I don't know if they fixed that problem or what. But we had no problem with ours. So I don't know if it's a later edition. It came out in 2019, but I don't know if they've had another print run, or I didn't have any problem. Lori and I didn't have any problem with them at all. So yeah, that's Babylonian. And make sure you like and subscribe, please. And I'll see you next time on The Bones Collector. Keep on board gaming, because it's the best doggone hobby on the planet, and I'm telling you, that's the truth. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, welcome to Bones Collector, and today Lori and I just got done playing Torres 4 times in a row. And Torres is a abstract strategy game by Kramer and Kiesling. It came out in 1999, I believe. It's listed like that on Board Game Geek, but it won the Spiel des Jahres in 2000. And it is a 2 to 4 player game. As I said, an abstract strategy, hand management. It uses an action point system. And the game is done in 3 rounds, so we love that. I think it took us, I think we can do it in a half an hour. Yeah, it's a half, and I love that. You guys know, if you watch this channel, I love great games that play in under 60 minutes, and this only takes a half an hour. And Lori was at a garage sale, believe it or not. She dropped me off for work, and then she went to a garage sale afterwards, and she found this game for 20 bucks. It's a pristine copy. I mean, it's very, very nice, practically brand new. I couldn't tell it had any kind of wear and tear on it at all. But
even the cards look new.
There's been several iterations of this game, and we played one a couple of years ago at a convention. Who was that by? Hutch?
IDW.
IDW?
Was the publisher.
And the knights themselves, which are these little pawns that you use in the game, were made so thin that they tipped over very easily.
And they were plastic.
Yeah, and they were plastic, and there was something else about the game. Oh, the squares.
Yeah,
the squares, you couldn't tell where the castles were after he had started putting these plastic pieces on the board. So we loved the game, but the production was a deal breaker for us. And it's happened to us before. I mean, Guild of Merchants, the production was a deal breaker, even though we loved the game. So when she saw this, she didn't know this even existed, I don't think.
No.
And looked at it and said, hey, the 2 problems we had with the game are fixed in this version. So she bought it for $20, which is our price range, and picked it up. And it's pretty cool, because you get a nice insert here, and everything fits in here, nice tucked away, and all the castle pieces and everything are in there. And I really, really was happy. She texted me at work, and I was like, I can't wait to play it. Okay, here's how this game works. You simply are going to start the game by placing one of these plastic castle pieces on all the squares on the board that have the picture of a castle. Like that. And then
each
replace
person,
this first.
Each person places a knight.
Each person places a knight. So you can pick anywhere you want your first knight to go. And this is generally, I'm just going to throw these on here.
And then the last place player.
The last player is going to place the king. And the king, I said there's 3 rounds. So if you want to score the points for the king, you have to be on level 1 in his castle in the first round. In round 2, you have to be in his castle on level 2, and so on. In round 3, you'd have to be on the 3rd level in his castle. And he moves. So whoever's in last place at the end of the round gets to move this guy. And you can move him to a castle that's near you and so forth. So that's pretty cool. That way you have a chance of getting those points. If you didn't get them one round, you can, and you're behind. It's kind of a catch-up mechanism that's pretty neat. Because if you're behind, you get to place that king, and you can put him where you can get to him, put him in your castle, actually.
Yeah.
In one castle where you have a knight, and then get on that level for that particular round and score those bonus points. So that's pretty daggone neat. And we really, really enjoy that part of the game. Everything about this game I really like. You have, uses an action point system, and each player gets a card that has the actions you can take and how many action points they cost you. So that's nice. And then you have a hand of cards in your player color. I'm the orange player. There's a hand of cards, and every one of these cards has a special effect or special benefit, but it costs you action points to get them. They're not yours. They're in a deck, in front of you, and if you want to take them, In a 2-player game, you have to deal out 3 of them, pick one, put the other 2 on the bottom, and that costs you 1 action point. But you can get more than 1 per turn, but every time you do that, you have to select 3, pick 1, put the other 2 on the bottom of the deck. What's that?
The cards are nicer in this edition too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they are nicer.
Yeah,
in the that IDW edition, the cards just have the graphics on them. They did not have the text, and we really enjoy that the text is on there with the picture on how the card works. Saves you some time. Yeah, it saves you some time. And then you have, and some of them are like this card here. Instead of 5 action points, which is the limit for your turn, you can spend 5 action points. This card gives you 7, and you have another card that gives you 6 in your deck. So you can have a couple turns where you can extend yourself a little bit, and that's really handy. Plus some different moves you can make that they're going to break the rules of the game. And man, I tell you, yeah, it's just a lot of fun. We had so much fun playing it just now. And
we finished 1 point apart because of the way you score. There's no ties.
Yeah, there's no ties. And the cool thing is, yeah, we finished 1 point apart in this game, 201 to 202. I mean, the scoreboard goes up to 265. So that's a lot of points.
But there's bonus cards we didn't play with.
Yeah.
And they're worth 40 and 50 points, some of them.
Man, that's a lot of scoring. And I like that. I mean, the game is pretty exciting because you're scoring a lot of points as you go around the board, and I really, really like it. But it costs you to put out these knights. That's one of the actions you can take. You can, and it tells you right on the card that you have 5 action points per turn. You can add a knight for 2. You can move a knight 1 space for a point. You can place a tower block, which are these things, for 1 action point. You can acquire an action card, and I show you how that works. Now, playing an action card during your turn, you can do 1 card per turn, and that costs you nothing. Acquiring it costs you an action point. To play it costs you nothing. And then if you have some action points left over, which is pretty cool, you can spend them on the point track. So if you had 1 action point left over, you can move your point marker 1 space forward.
I moved 1 space forward 1 time. If I'd have just moved 1 more time.
So I don't know. It's a pretty awesome game. I can see why it won the Spiel des Jahres in 2000, which means Kramer and Kiesling won the Spiel des Jahres in 1999 with Tikal, and then they won it in 2000 with Torres, back to back. I keep telling you, man, them great designers are good at this. They're my favorite board game designers, Kramer and Kiesling, because I can go out and buy an amazing game for $20 used. And I always tell people, if you find a game that you really like, play at a convention, oh, I love that game. Hey, you can find it in an inexpensive manner if you just look around and go to conventions and get on virtual flea markets at the convention, and even go to the flea market at the convention, the physical flea market, and you can acquire whatever game you want. You don't have to back things on Kickstarter, which we have stopped doing because of the nature of what that has turned to. GameFound and Kickstarter, you just don't know if you're going to get those games. There's lots of people that aren't delivering now their pledges from Kickstarter and GameFound, and it's just a shame that people are spending their money and throwing it away and not getting what they were promised. And so we've stopped doing that because we just talked about how many games that we have that we didn't back on Kickstarter, but they're Kickstarter versions because people were selling them.
7.
Yeah, 7 of them.
7 that we bought from other people.
Yeah, and at a reasonable price, sometimes a lot less than they paid for the game. And that's the way to do it. If you want to acquire a game, you'll find it. And I want to tell you, there's so many great board games. There are a lot of great board games. You don't have to take a chance with your money. You guys work hard for your money. Don't throw it away on something that is just a roll of the dice. No pun intended.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's a roll of the dice when you back something on Kickstarter GameFound. But hey, back to Torres. We love this game. And it's definitely going to stay in our library. Again, we played it it's been at least 2 years since we played this. We just forgot about it, really, until you found it at the garage sale.
Well, and I walked by it 3 or 4 times because the box looks completely different than the version that we played. And then I thought, wait a minute, I recognize that name. Opened it up and said, oh.
Yeah. But I mean...
And I got a copy of Racco.
Yes, we got a copy of Racco. There's something I was missing. But the point is, there are games that cost hundreds of dollars right now that just won't satisfy you like Torres does. I mean, this game is just plays smoothly. The rule set is small. It's an excellent board game. Makes you think hard. as you're managing this hand of cards, as you're trying to build these castles, because the idea behind this game on this board is to make the largest footprint you can with these castles. So you're going to build these out and try and get the biggest footprint you can get. And you only
without
play
touching the other castles.
Yeah. And you can only play 3 of these per turn. If you don't play them in a 2-player game, if you don't play all 3 of these on your turn, they go back into the box. So you want to make the biggest footprint you can for this castle, and the castles can't touch. They can touch diagonally to another castle space, but they can't touch adjacent. So you're trying to keep that in mind as you're building these up and up. And so eventually what you want to do, and the object and how you score points in this game, is to have a castle like this with a large footprint, and eventually get your guy at the top. And this has got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a 4 footprint times 1, 2, 3, 4 high. So that's 16 points. Every time the round ends, you're going to get 16 points for that. You can continue to build this as long as the footprint is smaller than the height. So,
or equal.
Equal to the height,
or smaller.
So, and like we had this one castle down here that had like, I think it must have had 10 or...
It had 11.
11?
Well, I counted them when we scored. It had 11.
The footprint was 11, so we could build this thing up high. I mean, as long as you just can't go past 11. So that's what you're trying to do, is get a large footprint footprints of these castles as large as you can, and get as high as you can, and put your knight on that castle, and you get those points at the end of each round.
Yeah, because you got 66 points off that castle.
Off that one there?
And I had 55.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that's the other thing. If he builds a big castle, I'm going to get over onto it as soon as I can.
Yeah.
So I get the points too.
Yeah, if there's a castle on the board that's got a big footprint, you got to get over and get in there. And you can build your own castle in the castle, so that you get the height up to where you want to go, but you get the multipliers, that footprint, and boy, that's pretty cool. And you're kind of calculating in your mind, because I've never been able to get, like, I think I've had 4 max. You got 6 knights.
I think I had 5 out one game.
Did you really? Because it's 2 points. So that's,
and
like,
you have to place them on the board adjacent to one that's already there.
Yes.
That's the hardest part. And
Yeah.
it can't be any higher than one that's already there. It has to be adjacent to and at the same height or lower than the one that's already there. So that's tricky.
Because she had a big castle over here in this corner with a pretty decent footprint, and I was like, oh, I got to get in on that. So I had to place my knight on the board adjacent to this knight that was in the castle, and then I played a card, one of my cards I had in my hand for free, with 7 action points on it, and I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and went up to the 3rd level, and moved across the board on her castle. I went up to the 3rd level, so I was able to get some points from that, because I knew if I didn't, I wasn't going to do very well.
If somebody's building a big castle, you better get in and be part of it.
But it's a sweet game, just a sweet design. Component-wise, these knights are made of wood, and they're better than the IDW version for sure, because they don't tip over. That IDW, they were stupid.
You can watch that video and listen to us complain.
Yeah, it's one of my convention videos. You thumb down through, you'll find me talking about Torres. But this is made of wood, the king. These are plastic pieces, these castle pieces. The board is a little bit thin.
And it has, when you first take it out, it doesn't lay flat. You have to set something on it for a second to lay it flat.
And I always say this about abstract strategy games. If board game publishers, if you're doing an abstract strategy game, you need to trick it out, publishing and production-wise, just to make it magnificent, because people will gravitate towards it and want to play it. Like Awari Deluxe, that game is an abstract strategy game, and Area Control, but it's just the publishing job was absolutely amazing on it. But this deserves that.
The art on the board is beautiful.
Yeah, the art's cool. Yeah, very cool. And I wish somebody would grab hold of this game and publish it to the max.
That game's over 20 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, for 20 years ago, that's pretty good.
Yeah. But wow, what a cool game. And I'm glad that Lori found this at the garage sale, because...
And he's thankful it's the only thing I found at the garage sale.
Yeah, it's the only thing she came home with. Oh, Racco.
And Wreck.
But yeah, I mean, it's a fun game, and I was glad to tell you about it today. And it's old. You know, I mean, this is 2023. This came out in 99, so wow.
It's 24 years old.
Yeah, but it's worth playing. It's worth owning.
It holds up.
Yeah, it's worth having in your library. Again, I've played games that cost over $100 that are published right now that are not as good as Torres. So you have to kind of do your homework. Hey, and this channel, we get no free games. We get no money from any publishers. We get no money from patrons on Kickstarter. We don't ask anybody for anything. So there's no money changing hands on this channel whatsoever unless Lori's getting in my wallet. But other than that, there's nothing happening on this channel to kind of taint what we're talking about as far as board gaming goes. So that when I tell you from my heart this is a really good board game, because hey, I might see you on the street somewhere and I don't want you to point a finger at me and say, yeah, you told me that game was good and it sucked, because I'm not going to do that. But I can tell you what, I've had other board game reviewers who are getting paid tell me a game is good, I went to play it and it sucked. You know, so when I see, and I complain about them all the time, but anyways, that's not what we do here. We try to tell you about games that we play that are in our library personally, or most of the time they're in our library. Yeah. But you know, like conventions and stuff, we play games that aren't in our library. But these games are in our library, and we've acquired them, you know, as cheaply as we possibly can, and we play them and try to tell you guys about them so that you can put together a gaming library that suits you and that you can play for the rest of your life. This is a game that you will play for the rest of your life. It's just the nature of it. It's different every time you play it. It's like playing chess. You can play chess continually and try to get as good as you possibly can, but it's an abstract strategy game like chess.
Well, and every time we played it, I think we figured out a little more and more and more what we should have done. You'd get better at it by playing it more. And
I've played Santorini, and it's similar.
Oh, yeah, it is very similar.
It's very similar, but I like this one better. Santorini, you only got those two little guys running around the board. You have 5 knights in this. I like that. Or 6, excuse me, the ability to get 6. And the action point system works great, and I love the action cards in this game. I like it. I like it a lot, and if you come across a copy, even if it's the IDW copy, I mean, if you can get that cheap and inexpensive,
but use meeples instead of the knights.
Yeah, maybe you can get some other pieces to put in that game, because they're made so chintzy and light, and they're narrow. So if you hit the board or bump something, they tip over constantly.
And you use them to score too, and the score kept falling over.
Yeah, so it was aggravating for us. It was a deal breaker, and I complained about it in the video.
And the spaces weren't colored in.
Yeah.
Here, the spaces, even with the castle sitting on them, you can see the castle space.
But this version's by Ravensburger, and I don't know who, IDW did the most current one, I think.
I think like 8 people have published it.
But watch out for that. If you see this game...
I don't know about all the rest of them. Rio Grande has done it, Hutch did it. I don't know what theirs are like.
Yeah, so... Yeah, but it's an excellent game, you guys. I wanted to tell you about it today. Keep on board gaming. It's the best hobby on the planet. I love every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you the next time for the next game on Bones Collector. Bye-bye. Okay, everybody, that was a couple of games out of our library that we wanted to share with you. I love every one of you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll try to get them out as soon as possible. And always remember to keep on board gaming. It's the best hobby on the planet. Bye-bye.